Oh, hello, and welcome to Al Dente Rigamortis. I'm Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey. The E stands for evil.
And I'm feeling a little woozy.
Oh no, you okay?
That's fine.
You full?
Yeah, I bought the wrong thing on the menu.
Ooh,
Found that out by the end of the story.
yeah, spoilies. And we're here to discuss those internet stories, most creepy and most pasta, and be critically silly doing it. And tonight we have SCP-3896, or Big Gordo's Grub Shack. This one is related, or supposedly related, to SCP-3894, which is the mother incident in Guam. You know, remember we were like our that weird eldritch thing that's like apocalyptic in nature that
Yes.
CadaverCommander's
The
been writing
entity
up
of
on
Guam.
stuff? Yeah, the entity formerly known as Guam.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, the whole thing that Cadaver Commander's been kind of leading up to. This was mentioned as like there's an observed event, like an observed change in this SCP-38 entity. And I think it had also been mentioned SCP-3896 before we saw it in 3894, like in the listings of ones that were changed. I believe it was mentioned in one of the previous SCPs we covered around the time that we were doing like Joey Fucknuts. But I cannot recall which one it was specifically. But anyway, it's one that was mentioned, and so I added it on our list of SCPs that we need to cover because they were mentioned in a previous episode. And by God, rabbit hole we are going to dig through. We are Alice.
We'll eventually get to the end of that rabbit hole.
Maybe. I mean, it could just keep branching out like a fucking fractal. But yeah, so this is by Cadaver Commander. And it's on scp.wiki. Just look up SCP-3896 if you want to check that out. And I will do a quick rundown on it. So, SCP-3896, as I mentioned, is Big Gordo's Grub Shack, a diner located approximately 2 miles north of Littleville, Alabama, United States of America. The establishment exhibits a number of overlapping mind-affecting anomalous properties, which vary in extent and potency. That's basically the full. That's the first paragraph of the description of what this SCP is, according to the entry. The Foundation has a patrol unit keeping people away as best they can off this road. Like they block off exits off the road, like kind of just under the pretense of like road construction and such, and what have you. And unfortunately, people that do go inside the diner and order the food, they see nothing amiss when they order the food and like act as if it's completely fine, even though the food is clearly prepared human flesh in various degrees. The staff appear to be missing persons across Alabama based on what descriptions and surveillance material has come out of the diner from SCP agents who have fallen under the influence of the site. Amnestics are regularly used as those who leave the diner come to a sanity-destroying realization of what they have done and eaten upon leaving the premises of the diner. So the effect... This place basically, like as soon as you get into its zone of influence, you act as though everything is completely fine, and what you're doing, even if it's illegal or unethical or terrible or horrifying, you're absolutely fine with it, and you're treating it as if it's completely normal. Until you leave the zone of influence, and then you realize what you've done and eaten. So, fortunately, there's a lot of amnestics that the Foundation utilizes to get rid of those traumatizing memories. And fortunately, it seems that like eating the contents, like even like in such great number, like depending on like what you get from the menu, sometimes it's like it's impossible that you've eaten that much. But even what you've eaten doesn't seem to affect the person when they leave the diner. They walk away completely fine. The chef, Big Gordo in quotes, appears to be the source of the anomalous happenings in this diner. He's also apparently referred to as Gorzugal, according to some of the observed staff members that were on a smoke break.
I don't know if he was referring to him.
That's what I kind of got that impression. That's because it's like Big Gordo, Gorzugal, like. I think I even have the quote at the very bottom of my notes. Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, it's like, hang on. Fuck yes, dude, praise Gorzugal. Speaking of which, I'm hungry as shit. Yeah, man, me too. He's right inside. Let's eat. And they were talking about the chef.
I suppose.
So,
They
yeah.
don't beat you over the head with it, but yeah.
No, it's very subtle. It's subtle storytelling and information notes. But yeah, that's about it. It's a creepy diner that makes you feel as if you're completely fine and doing stuff normally, even though you're eating human flesh when you're there. And then when you leave, the effects wear off after you leave the premises, and you realize what you've done. And the Foundation has to clean up that mess, that psychological mess. So,
Yes, so it is nothing like what I thought it was.
right?
Because I said last episode I thought it was a monster spawner of some kind.
That's what I thought. I've got some notes about that at the very end of the story.
Okay.
That we'll kind of dive into. I'm sure. So
So
yeah,
I'm actually glad I didn't spoil it for myself.
yeah, right, yeah. But yeah, that's the rundown for SCP-3896. Does anybody have Grammar Inquisition?
I mean, kind of. It's part of my first note, though.
Okay, hang on. Everyone tolerates the Grammar Inquisitions at this point. All right, now you can go. Or I guess Mikey could go, since if he has one.
I have one it sentence.
Okay. And now an it story with Mikey. The it stands for evil. The it stands for
Roll with it.
fuck it. I'm keeping that. Yeah, the it stands for evil. Yeah. Go.
It is unclear whether this entity is the eponymous Big Gordo, though it is presumed to be responsible for the sounds of falling meat cleavers and deep low laughter heard throughout the majority of SCP-3896 exploratory footage. Fin.
Top. Chop.
It's also a bit of a run-on on that one.
Yeah, a little bit of
Yeah.
run-on. Oh, ow.
And that's all I got.
All right. So I guess Gamer.
I should do my note/grammar thing.
Sure.
Okay. So this is in regards to it's explaining the effects and how they can't get information from outside. It says the structure. I'll paraphrase. It says the structure's tinted windows. They can't do scanning through it. And intervention by Foundation personnel is impossible, as researchers and tactical teams constantly forget their orders and all that. And then the paragraph ends. So then at that point, I'm like, okay, so why don't you use a drone, like an RC car with a camera on it, something. Like, yeah, RC cars can't open doors, but you could send in a D-class as he goes in. Or if this is in recent enough time, put a freaking GoPro on the guy.
Yeah, that's kind of. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised.
And then I read the very next line.
Okay.
Which is the start of it. It's just one sentence that is its own paragraph that says, however, recording equipment carried in it by entering personnel consistently functions, blah, 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 and it works fine.
Okay.
So my whole grammar related thing is, why not put that in the same paragraph, talking about like tracking them and getting information? It's separated out for no reason.
Yeah, like it's clear here that like people, like the human error is the problem here. However, all the equipment doesn't shut down, or like security footage and whatnot, and like recording devices work fine. So, and if the Foundation has caught wind of that, then yeah, that should be part of the exploratory protocols.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just send a couple of D-class to go eat some human flesh. That's fine.
Pretty much, yeah.
They've literally done worse.
They totally have. Yeah, long story short, if it's the same subject, there's no reason to break up the paragraph, especially when the paragraph isn't that long to begin with.
Yeah.
And that's all I got.
Okay. Then I guess we'll move on to actual thoughts. So I'm going to start off with this. From Special Containment Procedures. The section of Alabama Route 43, 4 miles in either direction of SCP-3896, is to be patrolled by a contingent of Mobile Task Force Row 66, or Roadhogs, with exit ramps leading to SCP-3896 blocked under the pretense of ongoing roadwork. And then we have, so then it keeps going, and then we have description. SCP-3896 is Big Gordo's Grub Shack, a diner located approximately 2 miles north of Littleville, Alabama, United States of America. It's like this SCP entry is begging me to Google Maps it.
Yeah, pretty much. And did you?
Like, where's the redaction stuff for such information? But anyways, weird. I couldn't find it when I looked the stretch of highway between Littleville, Alabama, which is an actual place, and the next town over, which is about 4 miles away. Like I went down that entire road and couldn't like on Street View and could not find anything but dense forest and empty dense forest, vacant and empty like fields and properties, and like the occasional like sort of looking run down like roadside business and houses.
Immersion broken. Or
well, kind of. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, or the Foundation's doing good work here.
Exactly.
And actually, like just basically photoshopping out a Big Gordo's diner on the Street View.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, those Street Views are just a kind of just slightly more advanced, like 360-degree video, like photo. So it wouldn't be that hard to like take those files into like even Photoshop and just like use the Band-Aid tool and just basically remove a building from it from the image. But yeah, also the sort of like that stretch of road, like looking down, it's like, yeah, I could definitely see like a small like out of the way diner being there. It certainly doesn't feel out of place to be on that strip of road. I was also going to complain about the fact that it says like a section of Alabama's Route 43, 4 miles in either direction is to be like patrolled and such, and then it says that the diner is 2 miles north of Littleville, Alabama. I was like, wait, so like I thought there was some inconsistency there, and then I realized I'm dumb, and the 4 miles is on either direction of so it's like 2 miles south of Big Gordo's Grub Shack and 2 miles north of Big Gordo's Grub Shack, which is effectively the roughly 4 miles between Littleville, Alabama, and the other town that's north of it. I can't remember the name of it, but it's there's another town just north of it. But yeah, I thought there was an inconsistency there with like the distance, and I realized no, you're stupid. It's like Big Gordo's Grub Shack is in the center of that 4 mile 4 mile perimeter.
Indeed.
So I was being dumb with the distance stuff, but yeah, no, weird. I looked up, I Google mapped it because I got an address or a rough estimated location. So.
See, that sort of thing, I kind of wish is always redacted because, like,
I am surprised it wasn't redacted. Again, I think it depends on which series of SCP entries that you're following, because sometimes like they're really heavily redacted, and sometimes they're just like, hey, you got the clearance, you're reading the story. Like, we want to give you the information to read the story. Like, I think
fair.
I think it's partially maybe like the kind of like the style of storytelling that somebody's trying to do, versus like, again, this is a huge writing community. They all have different ideas of how to write an SCP entry, even though like they have like the guidelines of an SCP Foundation entry, but it's up to them to kind of interpret them. And since everybody has different opinions and different perspectives, we get a very a strange variety of how to tell those stories within the confines of the guidelines.
You know what would be cool if I know this is a shit ton of work, but if they made it so you load up an SCP, the first thing you're greeted with is what's your level of clearance? And you, as the reader, you choose like, okay, I'm low level clearance. I pick that. You load up, and like half of it is redacted.
I know. Yeah, that would be it. That would be a lot of work, but I think you could definitely get a couple of like programs put into the onto the site to do that. That would actually be really
basically
fucking
you just
cool.
have to you'd have to highlight specific sensitive information and tag it as clearance 1, 2, or 3 or whatever, and then depending on what clearance you click on, those ones are visible.
Oh, that would be so fucking cool.
Yeah. So if you want to read it with redactions that you have to make assumptions on, you can. Or if you want to know everything, you can as well.
Well, the other thing is like again, when the SCP again, we're like 6,000 SCP entries in now.
Yes.
But like when it started, like that they were basing it off of like classified documents the government uses. So like a lot of people like didn't even come up with information. Like they just kind of like, I don't have to explain where this place is from. I can just put it in redacted. Like
yeah, exactly.
So it would be a lot of work because you'd have to go back and like add some places and some words and stuff that people just didn't bother with when they first created the early stuff because it wasn't important for the format.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's people different people using like having different levels of not I was gonna say not it, I don't mean work ethic, but like basically different levels of like
Technical expertise.
Yeah, like that, and or like just different levels of like how much work they want to put into their fun for this.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. But I digress. It is a cool idea. I kind of that would be really fun to have like something set in where like you just put in your clearance and then you go and you can like and it changes the how much is redacted for you.
Yeah, you have modular redaction.
I can honestly see that being like an indie like video game, like computer game. Just like somebody starting into the foundation or like a foundation like work eth place, and you only have like you maybe even start off as like low level, so everything's redacted. But as you progress through the world or the game, you get higher and higher clearance and get more and more stuff unlocked, so you can go back and check out things that you were previously redacted.
To make even more work.
Oh no!
It'd be cool if you could make an account on SCP, and when you first make your account, you're absolute crappy clearance. But every time you read a story and you click that you've read it, your clearance XP goes up more and more and more. And then your actual clearance is regulated by your how many SCPs you've actually read.
A ranked SCP. Jesus Christ!
To make it the most complicated thing in the world.
Yeah.
Yes.
To add into the bureaucratic nonsense and immersion.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you say you like bureaucratic horror? You say you like bureaucratic horror? All right, well, we're going to give you bureaucratic horror. Welcome to hell.
And it would also encourage you to read more.
Yeah, exactly. Because then you'd have to go back and reread some stories that like were heavily redacted for you.
Yes. Because you've been with the Foundation long enough, you have higher clearance now.
At this point, you're doing fine work here.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to move on to my next comment before we keep going down this rabbit hole.
Before I find out a way to make it even more complicated and cool.
Yes, exactly. How dare you?
Mm-hmm.
So this one's a bit of a long read. The first of these is an auto-amnestic and behavioral filter which extends to a radius of roughly 120 meters from the restaurant's walls, including the entirety of the parking lot and a portion of the approaching road. Any individual within this field is rendered incapable of acknowledging that any of the events experienced on the premises are unusual, socially unacceptable, illegal, or otherwise negative, and will behave accordingly for the duration of their stay. However, this does not affect memory or sensory perception, and those exiting this effective radius will immediately regain their previous held beliefs and behavioral inhibitions, becoming aware of the ramifications of any experiences or actions undertaken, and suffering any resultant psychological trauma as normal. Amnestic treatment has proven effective in reversing these after effects. Okay, so first of all, reading that, I was like, this is where another part about like cultists has found like possibly a discrepancy about like the distance and such. If a portion of the road is in the effective area, that's got to be really annoying for the agents employed in patrolling this stretch of road. Like, do they just have to, like? Sorry, hang on. Do they just have to like put up like some construction pylons on like one of the lanes, and just it's permanently under that one lane is just permanently like a false fronted like construction site?
Well, it says in the story, the entire area, both ways, like to get on the road that goes to the diner, it's blocked off completely, both lanes,
Okay,
with the front of it being ongoing construction.
I get that. Yes, you're right.
And that blockade
that can't
is
like.
out of the zone of influence.
Are they planning on building an actual bypass to get away from this thing? Because like there's only one. Like again Google mapping it. There was only one road that went between like Littleville and like north of Littleville. So
yeah, but you couldn't find this road, so it's a different road.
No, it is the same road. It's the road. It's high. I found the highway. I just didn't find the SCP entry or the entity. Like Route 43 is a road. It is the main thoroughfare through Littleville that goes north of Littleville.
But no,
it is.
But it can't.
I know. That's the indiscrepancy. I think I found the indiscrepancy, guys.
Well,
No.
Or just in this world, that main thoroughfare is constantly blocked off, and people have to take side routes to get in between those two towns.
Fair, yeah. Coming soon to Littleville, a new overpass or a new a bypass. We've got to have bypasses. You're welcome, Mikey. I know you like that movie or those books.
Okay, you've got to build bypasses.
Gamer, if you're lost, it's Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
A movie I've seen once and I don't remember.
Yes. So long,
Cool.
and thanks for all the fish. But I will continue.
Fish.
But yeah, also an idea like so if it isn't just like that whole stretch of road is like cordoned off, like if it is like just a portion of the road is cordoned off and like under permanent construction, because like as long as you're like beyond that limit, you're fine. But I was like also like thinking it's like so the agents that are employed in patrolling that stretch of road, like because they're tagged as road hogs, like maybe they're undercover as like a biker gang or around that area. I started kind of just like delving a little bit into. I maybe went down a little bit down a branching path of like thought process regarding this before we came to the realization. We came to the conclusion that they probably just cordoned off that entire stretch of road.
Yeah, and the roadhog guys stay like away from. They don't pass the barrier.
Yeah,
because even if you just drive by, you get in the zone of influence on the road.
Like, oh, maybe I'll go to this diner.
Mm-hmm.
Which is amazing that we get any kind of like material like after this quarantine. This quarantine has happened, basically, of this road.
Material?
Like, I mean, like material and like or like incidences of like somebody showing up to the diner after this place was like cordoned off.
Oh, I'm sure those are D-class.
Oh yeah, clearly.
That's the Foundation throwing bodies to learn.
Yeah. Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor.
Yeah.
But also reading this section about like like this, I kind of a lot of my comments were kind of like in the moment, like as I was reading it, and I think it kind of you'll kind of notice a little bit of a journey I had as I built on my comments for like a bit of a kitchen segment for this. So reading this first part about like its effects on people and such, I got some ideas for like a horror scenario. So this is my kitchen segment section where it starts. Like just having a diner that players stop at in the middle of nowhere, America, or it could be in Canada somewhere. Who knows? Like we're very similar when it comes to road infrastructure. Have a zone of influence in place and run through a bunch of horror stuff as you might have at a creepy diner in a horror scenario, but don't have the players roll sand checks yet. have the game play out as they would react, like as if nothing's like amiss. So like no, you feel completely fine. Like it's totally fine. Like you're having a normal, pleasant thing, or maybe even like have it like describe horrific things, but tell the players it's completely fine. You don't like there's nothing wrong with this. And just kind of
I
creep
think
up
the best
players.
way to do it is to not describe it at all.
Yeah, or
Do you
describe
even give
it.
them a roll when they enter the influence area, or just 100% you can't get away from it?
Hang on, here. It's 100%. You can't get around it. So like my idea was either like have it play out where like you basically you're creeping out the players, but not the characters, because like you're telling the players your characters think this is completely fine. Or describe their encounter in the diner, like their encounter in the diner as if nothing's amiss, like they're having a banana split, or they're having like green eggs and ham, or whatever it is.
Yes.
And then once they leave the premises, that's when you ask them to roll a sand check and basically have it be a pent up stacked sanity damage, as if they were staring at an elder god. So like a D10 if they succeed, a D100, like a dice, like a 100%, like a 100 sided die, if they fail.
Yeah.
Just to like really like fuck with them, and then like don't even just have that be like that's when the sanity gets dropped, like when the sand damage gets dropped is right after the encounter. And you don't even, and like you said, like I actually have in my notes, you don't even have to play out what happens at the stop. You can just have the players stop at this place and then make them roll a sanity check as they are approaching the place, and then you hit them super hard with the sand hit, and then just say you're leaving the diner now for the road again, and you realize all this horrific and horrible stuff has just transpired as you were like, but you were completely fine with it and you were participating in it. And then the game could be the aftermath of that, like sort of a post-mortem in media res sort of situation. Like you just you're riding away from that diner, you recall killing a man and his family in that diner, and what do you do with that knowledge now? Like you rolled your sand hit, you took 10 sand damage. You're slightly unhinged right now. How do you react to like suddenly just recalling that knowledge? Like you were fine with it when you were in the diner, but you are no longer fine with it. Like, and just roll with those traumatic punches in a horror scenario and just see how that plays out. Like, do you go back and to see what the hell's going on, or do you just fucking get the hell out of there and then like have them like roll perception checks on the road? It's like, all right, you spot a cop car going the other, going the other way. They totally know you did it. Like, just play on the paranoia and like see how the players react to like the basically it's the dread of having knowledge of that they did something wrong.
Because knowledge isn't always power.
No, knowledge in Call of Cthulhu, that is absolutely not the case. Like, you don't read the books. That's where the madness lies. Like, knowledge is where madness lies. So, and then we're gonna. I got this part here. This more kitchen fodder based off of a quote. Patrons enter, interact with waitstaff, order their meals from the menu, eat, pay for their for said meals, and depart as normal. SCP-3896 sole deviation from traditional restaurant operational practices is in the content of the meals provided. SCP-3896 menu is comprised entirely of dishes, in quotes, partially or wholly comprised of raw and coarsely butchered human flesh, occasionally accompanied by other ingredients. Okay, so another idea here for like a Cthulhu mythos sort of horror scenario is that the diner is actually a ritualistically designed tourist trap to convert more human people into Lovecraftian New England ghouls. Like they go in, everything is fine, eating human flesh is cool, no problem whatsoever because the zone of influence, and then they leave, and even though they get the hit by the sand loss, the damage is done, and now they're slowly becoming transforming into ghouls. Because in Lovecraft mythology or in the Cthulhu mythos and such, the ghouls, that's how you become a ghoul, is basically through like ritualistic cannibalism.
Yeah.
like the eating of dead human flesh. So yeah, like that's basically just kind of adding on, like stacking on to like some ideas for like this creepy diner that like everything is fine until it isn't because you've walked away from the zone of influence. And then we get to the menu. I commend this entry. I commend CadaverCommander for giving me a visceral reaction to every menu option described.
That burger was disgusting.
It was kind of hard to read some of them, especially Big Gordo's Blockbuster Burger.
Wait, really?
No, I'm joking. The burger was it was a nice touch. Also, although it was a nice touch to have like the last thing on the menu be the least disgusting, like body horror, gross out thing. Like that banana split really got me. Like I just finished eating dinner. And I'd had like some sausages and some sausage and potatoes and salad, and then I read this, and I was like, I was like, oh god, oh well, like I was every single entry I read, I was just like, this is horrible. I love it. Like it's like I not that like I didn't love reading it, but it was like good job for making really viscerally disgusting entries.
I love the vomit that happened because of it.
Yeah, I love the dry wrenching. It's like yeah, no, it's just like again, like this really played on like visceral horror in that like I really didn't want to read them, especially after eating. And it sounded like from the what we had, the little discussion we had before we recorded, it sounds like everybody else had the similar reaction.
I mean, I wasn't retching or wanting to vom, but I was not having a good time.
Yeah, but again, that's part of the horror of this entry is just like the description of the menu. So
yeah. I was eating lunch when I was reading this, so
poor soul.
I just sort of stopped reading it. I was like, okay, I need to sit for a bit and then finish my lunch.
Yep. I think you didn't go to a diner, or you didn't go to like a Greasy Spoon or anything when you had lunch, did you?
No.
Okay, that was good.
Good.
Yeah. It would have been perfect reading this at a Greasy Spoon.
Yeah, you're just reading on your phone as you're like having like a Hungry Man, like the what was it, the Hungry Man breakfast or whatever from like Hills, or or again like, oh god, could you imagine getting like a banana split right and then reading this? Oh god.
Yeah.
The banana split I think is probably the worst for me, although there's one of the first ones. I'll just pull it up and I'll revisit this horrible thing. Yeah, the steak and eggs was pretty bad too.
Yep.
I mean, none of them are good.
We should not. You know what, guys? Let's not tell anybody. Anybody listening, you got to read the entry and see what we're talking about. We're not going to tell you what is there. Just be warned. It's gross.
Yep.
Even the coffee is gross.
Yeah, a little bit.
But yeah, no, Big Gordo's Blockbuster Burger was. I mean, there's something about that burger that we all that's it's subtle, but it's definitely the least viscerally described of the menu.
The complications of that are still horrible.
Yeah. Oh yes. Yeah. The implications, and we'll get to that in a second because I got some notes about that as well. So, but starting off, actually continuing with down like the list of actual thoughts here. The next part is about the registration information. Registration information and permits for a Big Gordo's Grub Shack do exist within Littleville's Municipal Administrative Department, although the documentation is either incomplete or improperly filed. With administrative inconsistencies, such as forms listing the building's owner as only Big Gordo, fields listing the owner's social security number as nope, and the reason for permit request, and the reason for permit request block of the business registration form containing only the word food written in bacon grease. And as I was reading this, I kind of got a chuckle. Like I kind of brought up when it said nope. It's like social security number, nope. It felt very kind of, I don't know if you guys got it. It felt kind of like Night Hauler-ish. Like,
yeah, sort of.
Like this could be like Night Hauler's like ghoulish cousin. Or maybe it's even just like another facet of the Night Hauler entity. Although, yeah, it just kind of, it seemed like the kind of attitude that like runs in that again, horror Americana sort of situation that we've been exploring through CadaverCommander's SCP entries.
Yeah, or this could be an eatery that's run by one of the Black Iron Boneheads.
Oh, exactly, yeah. And then we get here with the observed conversation between Walker and Trullo. So Walker, oh shit, dude, I forgot to tell you, Big Chef's dead. Trullo, oh shit, nice. Fuck, or just in fucking time too. Sarah, of course it's fucking Sarah.
It's a diner.
I know.
Every diner has to have a Sarah.
Okay, so for anybody listening, yeah, we run an actual play podcast called One Less Die, as our sister podcast, and I'm the GM most of the time for the games we record and such. And I run a lot of horror games, weird, and our players occasionally go to diners. And I have a running gag that started from my early days of GMing, where I would just always name the waitress at the diner is Sarah, to the point where it became part of our little mythos that we've created for our ongoing like and kind of interconnected campaigns. So there's just every diner has a Sarah, and so every time Sarah gets dropped, and this is so opportune, this is so like perfect because it's about a diner.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. So anyways, continuing on with the quote here. Sarah told me we were starting to run out. She said there's gonna be like a thing. No one's like told me much about it. Walker. I mean, I don't know if I'd call it a thing, but sort of. We do like a little get together, say some words, just basic shit before we start grinding and doing the rest of the prep. It's not really a big deal, but you gotta kind of do the whole thing right, or it'll fuck up, and we'll have to take the burgers off the menu for a bit. And then it keeps going about the burgers and like, you know, how passionate it is and how the burgers are awesome and stuff. And Trullo's like, I haven't had one yet. And yeah, I was joking earlier about how the burger's the grossest thing on that menu. Except I definitely, like, as soon as I saw the burger on there and how it was like there's nothing like mentioned about it, like being gross or anything like that, I was like, that burger meat is definitely people meat.
Yeah.
Like I called that like early. I just didn't realize that it was apparently the chef who comes back, who dies, gets ground into new meat, and then comes back like fucking Christ, literally Christ, like a Christ figure, like a little bit of a Christ figure, a horrifying body horror Christ figure.
He's the Jesus of burgers.
And again, kind of keeping with the whole like kind of horror Americana vibe, because like Americana's got its Bible belt going. So, anyway, we get to this one here then. Trullo sighs. Trullo, man, I cannot fucking wait until I'm on the menu. Walker, I know, dude. You were only here for like 2 days, I think. Do you remember Dave? And it keeps going on about that. And I was like, I really like how this addendum transcript adds and confirms more and more regarding the horror within this place. Like, giving little details naturally in an observed dialogue. Like, we kind of get a confirmation about where they're getting their meat from. It's from like the staff. Like when the staff get at a certain age, like when they hit a certain point in time, like in their I guess their career at the diner, they get promoted to the menu.
Mm-hmm.
there's a few inconsistencies there because like there's one thing on the menu that's like they need a lot of staff members to go through to make
There's
that
like
one
100
order.
of them.
Yeah, there's like 100 of a certain thing. Again, I don't want to spoil anything there outside like too much there. I want if you're listening to this and you're curious about the menu, check out SCP-3896. But you've been warned, it's gross as fuck. And then we keep going on from there. Yeah, so sorry, yeah. I do like how the addendum has given us this like kind of little hints and nods and confirmations about the horrifying shit we've been reading about this diner. Just kind of naturally. So I will move on to the next my next or last thing roughly. Maybe Walker. We all are. Praise Gorzagal, motherfucker. Torello discards his own cigarette. Torello. Fuck yes, dude. Praise Gorzagal. Speaking of which, I'm hungry as shit. Walker. Yeah, man, me too. He's right inside. Let's eat. And I guess we now know Big Gordo's true name. Which is, I guess, Gorzagal? Because that's, again, kind of what I got from that little bit of dialogue, is that, like, Big Gordo, Gorzagal, sort of thing.
Or Gorzagal is some weird demon in another dimension that they get all the body parts from.
Maybe. But, like, then,
And
why did they say that
he's
right inside?
Because, sometimes the owner of the restaurant stops by.
Oh, okay. So he came by when the chef died.
Yeah, or something like that. I don't know.
Maybe. I think
don't work
personally. Yeah, I personally think Big Gordo and Gorzagal are the same being.
Probably.
I do have one last thing that we did kind of hint at during the early on, and that is the connection between SCP-3894 and SCP-3896 here. And again, SCP-3894 is the potential world-ending manifestation event in Guam. Again, the entity formerly known as Guam.
Yes.
There's a series in that SCP entry. There is a chart of of other SCP entries that are connected. Like we have the giant floating flesh mass that we discover is actually a scout for SCP-3894, and then Holland Hank's in there, and there's been some noticeable changes about about the things that he's dredging up from the ocean. And then we get this one is mentioned, SCP-3896, currently understood to function as a loci for EOI-090, which is the entity formerly known as Guam, and its bioform manifestation and dispersal. And then it has right next to that on the chart is anomalies, changes observed in anomaly. So 37 instances of SCP-3896 are now recorded, each requiring an extensive naval blockade to prevent escape of SCP-3896-01. SCP-3896-01 entities have begun to display greatly increased intelligence, strength, durability, size, and manifestation rate.
See, that's why I thought it was a monster spawner.
Yeah, hang on. Foundation Naval Task Force casualties as a result of these manifestations now number in excess of 100 or how do you say that?
150,000.
150,000 or 150,000. Yeah. Okay. So this is quite an observed change from a diner that pulls people in and alters their mindset to normalize cannibalism. Converting its staff into menu meals at a certain point of their exposure to to working there and such, to start manifesting elsewhere and in multiple instances, and release augmented bioforms of the mother. Are those the staff, the customers that they've been taking in? This sort of poked some holes.
Yeah,
maybe. It further into SCP-3894 and why this was mentioned in that entry, because it doesn't see, it's such a drastic change in behavior and nature.
My explanation for this is that they got the SCP number wrong in SCP-3894 because nowhere in SCP-3896 is there anything to do with water and naval and
Yeah, exactly. Like it's in the middle of
001 of
Alabama.
it.
It's literally in the middle of nowhere, Alabama, and Alabama's a mid. It's flyover country. It's not. There's no coastline. So it's very bizarre. Yeah, I that's my kind of that's the one thing I'm trying to come up with here is that like because the link for SCP-3896 goes to 3896, like the one that we just did, which is the diner. But it's not. It doesn't feel like it's the right link.
Who would the 01 be in this case, Gordo?
Well,
No,
it says 01 is the staff.
Okay, so so apparently the staff, and I can kind of, part of me, like, I trying to like grasp at straws here, like like trying to like figure out why this is connected. It does in the conversation between Walker and Torello, it does kind of reference that like they came here like feeling like to feel like family and stuff like that. Like they get like kind of this like they have this like kind of communal connection while they're working there and stuff like that. So like that could be like a potential like kind of connection between like them and the mother and stuff. Like maybe the mother's influence.
I think what it might be is like they work there for a while. They feel like a family and all that, and then they get sacrificed, and their soul gets sent to the mother, and their body's dead, so they just chop up the body and sell it. But the soul is given to the mother for her to put into one of those entities that it's talking about with hyper intelligence or whatever.
Yeah, the much more strong. Basically, like maybe that's what's fueling those smaller units that's dispersing.
Maybe
it's just such a weird. Yeah, it's like again like because apparently this thing went from like a like a small diner that had some really creepy shit about it in the middle of Alabama to 37 instances of it across like an area where they needed to use naval blockades to stop the SCP the staff from getting out of it. Like it's so weird. It's such a weird and drastic change. Like I again we kind of have like a sort of love-hate relationship with SCP-3894 and like the sort of like the outcome of like reading all the entries that led up to it. That it's like this kind of just hurts it even more. Because this connection doesn't really fit to me at all.
Yeah, it makes no sense at all.
Yeah, and I mean, if there's an explanation for it, I'd love to hear it from CadaverCommander. Like, if they ever listen to our ramblings, I'd like some. I wouldn't mind some confirmations, or anybody out there who has like some inkling as to what's going on, like how things are fitting and stuff like that. Maybe we're just completely dumb and don't get it, or maybe wrangle you guys into the same dumb piles.
Oh, I'm dumb,
but
I never try to hide that.
Thanks, gamer.
No problem.
But yeah, no, like I feel like it should be change, but like it's almost like too much of a change.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's completely different entity.
Yep.
It's almost like it's you know what it almost feels like it feels like it's not SCP-3896 but Hall and Hank.
3894 in the same chart.
Yeah, what is he?
Maybe that one's supposed to be 6.
Yeah, hang on. What is checking this thing here?
Well, it mentions the T-Home events, which are
the entity, basically the kaiju things he's dredging up.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to find out where 3896 is in this.
It's on the bottom of the chart.
No, sorry, I was looking up 3894. That's what I was looking up. Sorry, I was looking up under his under the CadaverCommander's works. I was trying to find 3894 or 3896, which I'm already in. Here it is. Yeah, I just want to quickly pull up the chart, and so 3889 entity suspected to be a subordinate of SCP. No, that's not it. No, it is.
The flesh and blimp, I think.
Hang on, let's see what this guy is. No, that's Hall and Hank. Oh yeah, so Hall and Hank, or SCP-3889, entity suspected to be subordinate to SCP-3894 Alpha, and confirmed to be inimical to EOI-090. So Yeah, that makes sense. Like he's basically like he's dredging up these things that the SCP Foundation can put down, because if he didn't, bigger things would come out. And then we get the change observed. SCP-3889's T-home events have yielded progressively more aggressive and durable entities, either matching or exceeding T-home 41's destructive capability, which was mentioned in one of like the really bad T-home events that that Hull and Hank dredged up. Lesser T-home events entities have begun to manifest independent of SCP-3889 near coastline worldwide. SCP-3889 has begun to assist Foundation naval assets in the neutralization of these entities. However, the rate of entity manifestation has accelerated to the extent that Foundation tactical asset losses are becoming dire. Yeah, so that seems like that seems to fit Hull and Hank. But so does the previous. So does the yeah. It just doesn't. And then the other one,
I think.
Yeah.
I think the other one just needs an extra line saying like, the function of the diner has changed so much that it's completely changed to an entirely new effect. Like it doesn't really hammer that home enough. And it's such a drastic change.
That's the problem though. Like with it is like it feels like it's changed it complete like so much that like why did you bother coming up with like you need to explain like there must be either something that we're missing or there needs to be something added to explain why there's explain the connection a lot more thoroughly between 3896 and 3894, because I as of this I really don't see it. Like I don't see a connection between this diner that basically normalizes cannibalism when people go visit it to the mother entity that is trying to eat the world, basically. Like maybe that's the connection, is that they're both like they both have like they're trying to like basically bring flesh together and consume it. It's just like a smaller scale version of what the mother is. I just really
considering it says that there's more of Big Gordo's diners popping up and these like weird intelligent creatures are coming out of it now. It's like the mother's taking, like Gordo is basically in cahoots with the mother to use his diners as like spawning grounds to spread around.
Or maybe Gorzagal is the mother. Like maybe that's another name for it. It's like Nyarlathotep has many faces, has many aspects, and can be in different places at once as different avatars. Maybe it's the same thing with the mother entity. Like it can be in different locations at the same time and has different facets of itself, sort of like partitioned into other flesh forms. So yeah, maybe Big Gordo is just the mother in another wearing another mask.
Yep.
And if that's the case, like I can kind of see it. It's very subtle. It's a little too subtle even for me in the writing. If I'm if I'm missing something, I'd like to know. But yeah, that was my big kind of like final comment about this entry, is like that connection's like almost like that's like it's like threadbare. that connection between the SCP-3896 and SCP-3894. So
that connection is just based on assumptions we're making.
Exactly. Like I mean, there's some hints that you could possibly derive from in this entry, but it's not really a lot. So. But yeah, that's my actual thoughts. Mikey, he stands for evil.
Yeah. So continuing on your thought process there, my thought process is that because the information in 3894 is so drastically different from anything diner related, that I think there must be another SCP entry that was supposed to be linked, but they grabbed the wrong number.
Maybe I did notice when I googled SCP-3896, there is another SCP-3896 that pops up directly under it in the Google search. SCP-3896, the nights grow weary, but it doesn't really seem to have anything to do with. I don't know. Like it's You know what? It might be it. That they were pulling up. I'm just checking it now. It also doesn't look like it's an official SCP. I don't know. The website it's pulled from is the SCP. Ah, yeah, it's a different website. It almost feels like an unofficial SCP Foundation. It says the scp.foundation /object /SCP 3896.
Which is the real one?
And I'm actually just looking at it, and it's saying this might actually be what they were talking about because because it has connected to SCP-3889 or Hull and Hank, SCP-3897 the Mother, SCP-3898 the Burden, and SCP-3893 the petition to petition the dead, which is the
So
trench.
we read the wrong one.
I think we read the wrong one, but it only because it wasn't. It's not because the SCP-3896 that's on the official SCP website is the diner.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also by CadaverCommander, and this one is also by CadaverCommander. It seems. I think I'm trying to pull up some. I'm literally doing this live right now, so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is an odd. It's weird. Like, why is this? Yeah, it's talking about. I think this is probably what it is because it's about a cave that has flesh protrusions retracting from it or like coming out of it.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
That seems like it, and it's on coastline. So I think this is actually what is supposed to be referenced in SCP-3894, but
Mm-hmm.
So we
it's
found
not.
another grammar thing.
That is 100% a grammar thing. CadaverCommander, if you ever listen to this, you might want to edit that entry so that you don't, unless for some reason this is your, like what you were trying to get at. But I think you probably wanted the Knights that grow weary, or the Knights grow weary. SCP-3896, and not Big Gordo's Diner. Because Big Gordo's Diner feels more like it belongs in the same kind of like mythos circle as like Joey Fucknuts. Like, because it's very zombie-esque or like cannibalistic-esque.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this feels like I think this one it feels less like it should belong to the Mother and more to this. So, yeah, it even references Operation Marduk and a bunch of there's a bunch of like naval situations that are going on. So yeah, I guess we're gonna have to have another SCP-3896 that we got to cover at some point.
This won't be confusing.
Yes. Why? Okay. Yeah. So I think we've cracked the code. It was it's the wrong SCP-3896 that was linked in 3894.
Still understand why there's two of them.
Yeah, I don't know. And they're both. What's hilarious is 3896 is by CadaverCommander. Like,
Yeah.
Big Gordo's Diner is by CadaverCommander, but I think The Knights Grow Weary is also by CadaverCommander.
But for some reason, that one didn't get on the main site.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's the SCP Foundation website versus scp.wiki, which is the official SCP Foundation website.
Are you sure?
Yes, I am 100% sure that scpfoundation.wiki.wikidot.com is the Foundation's official website because it's what we've been using all these years to check out SCP Foundation stuff.
I almost wonder if this Knights Grow Weary didn't meet the SCP Foundation's guidelines. So
Perhaps?
Yeah.
Also, just saying, for some reason, I loaded up 3895, and it is scpwiki.com.
Yeah.
And the one we just read is scp-wiki.wikidot.com.
Hang on, because this is that's the. Hang on, let me.
I'm so confused.
No, this is the official website because it's gotta be. Right?
Okay, in that link I just loaded up, I went to the bottom and clicked ahead to 3896, and now I'm on scpwiki.com/scp-3896, and it's still the diner.
Yeah. So
But why is there two different freaking URLs? Why is there DV and DV? God damn, Shadowrun's everywhere.
and this was the
Um,
episode where
sorry, Mom.
Reldency Rigor Mortis just fell down the browser rabbit hole.
Yeah.
The only thing I can think of is maybe they have different sites to help guide the traffic,
That could
or
be it, yeah.
So one doesn't just get overloaded.
yeah, or you know how there was that whole SCP Foundation drama a while back with the guy that said he owned SCP.
Yeah, the Russian copywriter who tried to copyright SCP Foundation, Russia, and as such, all of SCP. Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
It could be basically like the ashes of that bullshit. Like maybe they had to change some like some servers or something like that. So they parsed it out into different servers.
It's weird too because one of them is secure and one of them isn't.
Yeah. Man, I did not expect to have this much like clout come up from what seemed like a pretty straightforward, interesting SCP entry about a creepy diner. I was like, even like, oh man, I haven't found any links to any other SCPs. I think we're actually gonna have a straightforward SCP entry to talk about this one. Nope. Okay, so I'll add SCP-3896, The Nights Grow Weary, to the roster. Mikey, do you have more to continue on?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is totally a video game because Big Gordo is the boss and he respawns.
Yeah, clearly. We're all
Yeah.
Oh, universe is a simulation, man. Like we're just a hologram. So yeah, we're all just in a video game.
All right.
Glad we got that out of the way. And done.
This. And now I'd like to take a moment to talk about the picture.
Yes. What about
So, looking at it, I noticed something was off.
it does say Big Gordo.
Yes.
Sorry.
And the thing that I saw that was off was the license plate. Because that
my
license
God.
plate is a British license plate.
Son of a bitch.
Embarrassing.
And then I looked up the actual diner, which is OK Diner, which is a chain of diners in the UK.
Huh.
Embarrassing.
So that explains why cultists couldn't find it.
In
We're
Alabama.
looking in the UK.
Yeah, it says, but it says in the document, Littleville, Alabama.
Yeah, Alabama,
Unless this is just a rough descriptor of what, or like a rough facsimile to what Big Gordo's Diner looks like.
Yeah, but we need a description of that.
Yeah,
the description
honestly,
underneath the picture is SCP-3896. So
Yeah.
I don't think it's like pretty spot on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm half tempted, honestly, to go in, like, to take this image and then just Photoshop in Big Gordo's Diner on the sign, and then like remove that license plate to be something else.
Change the license plate, yeah.
Yeah, maybe have it blocked out so that you're not like doxing somebody. Well, I guess you're not quite like doxing somebody because you can't you don't have all the numbers and stuff.
Yeah, you can only see half.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that is a little embarrassing. CadaverCommander, why?
There's only so many pictures out there.
I know.
I understand.
Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah.
You'd have to specifically find one that doesn't have a really clear shot of the name of the diner.
Yeah. Also,
which is
yeah,
what probably all the pictures online are.
Yeah,
Mm.
exactly.
Are ones that have clear shots.
And I mean, weird. Oh, actually, interesting. CadaverCommander uploaded file a diner.jpg, and then deleted it, and then re-uploaded it.
Hmm.
So, according to the history of this document.
Yeah, but I can see the confusion based on OK Diner website is that their tagline is "Experience a classic '50s American diner on the Great British Roadside." So
I mean, that's
Yeah.
also kind of cool. Like, again, that's kind of like that's actually a really interesting, like, extra angle to go on. Is that this Americana diner? That again does all the creepy shit that it describes in the thing, but it doesn't just it's not confined to the United States of America. It pops up all over the place, but the staff
Yeah.
always assume an American sort of dialect and sort of persona.
Not necessarily.
No, but I mean that'd be an extra like part of it. Is basically this piece of America that just keeps traveling, that just keeps popping up across the world, no matter like the country or like what have you.
I mean, considering it was saying that there's more of them showing up, I know we basically debunked that as being a different story. But if it was this story, basically Gordo or a clone of Gordo and the diner would pop up in a new area of the world, and the employees would be residents of the nearby towns. So if they are driving to work and everything, they'd be driving their cars with their British license plates on them.
Yes, although no, but it says in this entry like
They never leave.
the staff don't leave this building.
They have to arrive though.
No, it literally says in the entry, the staff. Hang on, there's part of the entry about that.
But like, I mean, when they first get quote unquote hired, they have to get there.
But they arrive there, but then like the car goes missing. Like the car doesn't like it's just gone after that. Like
He doesn't say that.
it doesn't show that. I'm pretty sure I read that like the staff members like there's no like vehicles or anything like that of the staff members.
Also, you say that they never leave the building. We have a conversation of two of them outside the building.
Within the because they're taking a smoke break. They're taking a smoke break, but I mean like otherwise like they never go home. They stay in the diner.
Yeah.
The diner is their home now. They live here and die here.
Then where did they buy smokes?
I don't know where did the black iron where did the black ironed badasses from Vulture Gulch get their cigars? Do you really want to have that conversation again? Apparently, we grossed out Brownie about that.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no. Again, like it could just be like it's a weird supernatural diner that normalizes cannibalism and like uses its staff as food. So I believe that they just manifest cigarettes. So.
All right.
Or maybe if this is connected to the Night Hauler drives by. Like that's what he's hauling. He's hauling cigarettes and other things for all of his buddies, like all these other eldritch buddies he has.
What a good guy.
Yeah, what a guy.
He's a guy.
He's unfucking believable.
Yeah.
Oh, here it is. Yeah, employees of SCP-3896 do not display remarkable or unusual behaviors aside from a lack of acknowledgement of the nature of the food provided. Additionally, recovered footage has only definitely I did that twice now because I did that when I first read it. I was like, what? It's like, no, has only definitively recorded the presence of waitstaff. And it keeps going on. The soul, there's one in here that, there was a part
If you're looking for the line about them never showing up or leaving, I get it. I know.
Oh, here, yeah, it's part of the Craig's. Yeah, it's in the analysis of SCP-3896. Employees' appearance and uniform name tags have consistently matched a number of missing persons reports filed by police precincts across the state of Alabama. For unknown reasons, none of these law enforcement organizations have successfully linked these reports to SCP-3896, despite the fact that advertisements for SCP employment positions have been detected on an approximately bi-monthly basis. No employee has ever been observed to arrive at or enter SCP-3896, nor have any been seen to depart the premises at any time. So, sorry, I knew it was in there. I just wanted to get that out.
I know,
Uh-huh.
and I agree that it says that. However, they have to get employees somehow, so they have to
They
at least
do. They
arrive
just kind of-
once,
Once, never again.
or they don't, and he just has a portal in there. And he just pulls guys
that could be-
through.
they could also what if these people because they read the mimetic virus on like a new I think in the conversation the two guys found the ad in a newspaper and then they just kind of were there. They just showed up. So maybe they just walked there.
Yeah, they decided they need to change in life, so they went for a walk.
That's probably what it is. They just spontaneous human walking.
My favorite type of human walking.
My favorite kind of mystery, human mystery, spontaneous human locomotion. Oh, god damn it. Anyway, yeah, sorry. Not to keep dragging this on. Mikey.
Yeah, and that's all I got.
Okay. All right, and then we have Gamer.
So 2 of my notes are in regards to items on the list, but if we're not talking about the items on the list, I don't know if I can talk about them.
I mean, if you want to talk about them, you can. I just thought it would be funny if we just didn't talk about them, but...
Okay, the second one
I could
is...
have redacted. I could do like whenever you start talking about the description, I could just do
You can redact certain things.
yeah.
If you want to do that, fine. All right, so this first one is the only one that's may need redaction. We'll see, but it's the grilled ham and cheese one.
Mhm.
Do you know which one that is?
I'm unfortunately looking it up now.
Okay, well, either way, it my note on this is it wouldn't be able to be in the position it's in with the stuff that's been removed from it.
You're right. I mean you could.
Well-
It would just be it'd just be
No.
Well, they would use toothpicks.
yeah. I mean sandwich they use toothpicks to keep sandwiches together all the time.
Okay. It should say that though.
Yeah, it should say that. Yes.
Okay. And my other one is the burger, and it just says it seems like it's totally fine.
Mhm.
But even if that was the case, and even if
I would not trust it at all. I've seen.
yeah, even if it was actual beef and it's totally normal, and that's just your one shot, I still wouldn't eat it because it was made in the same kitchen as the others.
Well, that's the thing, gamer. You think everything else on the menu is fine when you're there.
Oh, I know,
That's
but
the whole
even
gimmick.
with the knowledge of all that, I would still not eat that burger.
Oh yeah, no. Outside of the influence, yes, I would not touch anything on this menu, even the burger.
Yeah,
but again,
personally
that's
because
the
it was
point of
made in the
this.
same kitchen as the others, but mainly because it has tomato on it.
I know that's super gross. Yeah.
Yeah, that's worse.
Caramelized onion. Ugh, ah!
I've never tried guacamole on a burger either.
It's okay. It's all right.
I don't even know the taste of guacamole, to be honest. I don't think I've had it enough.
Guacamole is bland.
So why?
Because it's extra protein. It's a supplementary protein.
Oh, that's okay then.
It goes well with other things. It's a sort of it's kind of like a tofu. It can go well with other things.
Okay, wait, I'm not just gonna eat a spoonful of guac.
No.
Although it does also go you can also use it as a dip for depending on how you if it comes with stuff, you can actually it goes well with tortilla chips.
Mm-hmm.
It actually is a pretty good dip for tortilla chips.
Again, there has to be something else to combat the blandness.
Well, yeah, because the tortilla chips usually have a saltiness to it, so then it kind of complements the guac. So.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
my last note.
Sorry.
So good.
No, continue.
Okay. My last note is very simple. It's just if the Foundation's blocking the road and cutting off all their customers, how are they staying in business?
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm thinking that it's not. The road isn't completely blocked off. It's just of it is under construction indefinitely, and like the road that's still safe to drive, they have just patrols basically going by. But occasionally somebody will slip by and go into the diner, like, because otherwise, how else are they getting business? How are they keeping customers?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's about all I got.
Okay. Also, I need to scroll away from this menu. It's making me sick again.
Fair. Oh, this other thing, not
no.
directly related to the story at all. So you know the header on all these that has all the cool emblems
Yep.
and all that,
Yes.
like safe, slam, and danger.
Yeah.
Have you ever clicked on the stop sign thing on the right?
No.
Because that takes you to a link of a memo done in lore about the classification of all of this to set it up as for a writer to use the same thing, and explains every single thing. Like what the hell Vlam
these
is?
people.
Yeah.
Like, God bless the people behind SCP Foundation.
There's a further link in here at the bottom of the first block of words says anomaly classification system, which is what this is referred to as, which goes into even more depth about every single little aspect of using this system.
Also, I do
including
like
all the logos and all the art and alternative art done by other people.
Nice. Also, I
It's
do
just
like
great.
I do like Vlam's like low potential to disrupt the general population. Disruption is typically confined to a locality. No, that makes 100% perfect. Like that is this SCP is a Vlam level of disruption class. Yeah, no, it's pretty good. Like I like these. I like this formatting of the SCP like template.
Yeah, and after clicking on that, it's so well thought out. Like there's
It's almost
two
like
web
they've had
pages all about how to
years.
set it up.
Yeah, it's almost like they've had years of development.
Yeah.
Again, almost over 6,000 entries worth of probably. I don't know how long it's been, how long the SCP Foundation's been around, but I think it's getting up there at least a decade now.
Mm-hmm.
Hang on, know your meme, because know your meme will probably tell me when it was first started. 2007 was when it was first kind of set up.
Yeah.
So yeah, well over a decade.
Yeah.
Of hundreds of people, if not thousands of people, writing stories in this community, in this kind of structure. It's actually really amazing. Again, I love the SCP Foundation for like both as a project and like all the neat things that people come up with as SCPs.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, after clicking on that, now I know a quick way to say I wish more people use this system. This system being ACS, which is the anomaly classification system.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's cool and awesome.
And to kind of pull back from something that you were saying earlier, I know it would be a lot of work, but I kind of wish some people would go in and make all of the SCP entries like this, like even the early stuff that doesn't have this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like it would be a lot of work, but it would make it kind of more concise and more like feel like it's like all connected. But
yeah, it'd be more immersive because everything is like the same formatting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's pretty neat. I like it.
Yeah, that's about all I got for notes and such.
Alrighty. So yeah, I guess we'll move on to final thoughts. So treating this as a standalone entity, I really like the ideas behind it and like what I read. It's, as we discovered, this probably isn't the right SCP-3896 that was supposed to be mentioned in 3894.
Yeah.
And even if it is, it's sort of hard to discern connections between this and the SCP-3894. So
we made some assumptions.
I mean, yeah, we made some assumptions, and like, but they're kind of like, again, threadbare. Like it's really, you need to really stretch, and it feels like you're missing something.
Yeah, and I feel like we didn't connect the whole naval aspect to it very well.
Well, and again, I think that's because SCP-3896 is not SCP-3896.
Yes.
And whoever thought like somebody needs to like change that again. It almost makes you like think that like going back to what I said about 3894, it needs to be its own story, and don't connect a bunch of SCPs to it like in their entries. Connect them in a story, not in their entries. But I digress. I said my piece about that last time, so I'll get off that. As it is, like as this entry is, if it was just like just reading this entry, I really dug it. I will recommend this entry because I love myself some creepy diner locales. So, and I really got some inspiration. Like I could run a horror game scenario, with the premise of like a diner that makes you think everything is fine even though you're eating human flesh, and then like you don't get the sand check hit until after you've left. And then that's actually probably where the game really starts, because you're suddenly having to deal with the fact that you just ate human flesh, and you murdered somebody in a diner, kind of thing. So yeah, no, I recommend this SCP entry. It's pretty good. So Mikey, D stands for evil.
Let's see. Well, I went to a diner off the highway and enjoyed myself a burger, and it was quite the tasty creepypasta. So
But it was
I'm
a
gonna
burger, not pasta. But
You should have just said you ordered pasta.
yeah,
Like,
you should have said you ordered a burger with a side of pasta.
yeah.
That's what the fries were.
Oh, okay.
Sure. Because fries for pasta. Let's let him finish.
Yeah, to continue.
So I'm gonna give this a recommendation.
Nice.
Very
All right.
nice.
Then now we have gamer.
The read of it was pretty good. Again, it's very confusing to tie this into the other stories, especially since I was going in with the mindset of this being a monster spawner, because that's what it's supposed to
We all
be.
did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not even, I'm not, I usually will take blame for things. I'm not taking blame for this. The link
No, not at
literally
all.
goes to this.
Yes, 100%. It's
So-
not a mistake.
And like,
It's fine.
CadaverCommander, you do some good stuff. I think you just had a hiccup here. But yeah.
But either way, story itself, whether it's connected to Hull and Hank and all the others or not, it's creepy, grossed me out a little bit.
Yeah.
It left me wanting to know what the hell is going on a little bit more, like the motivations of all this, and like how they're staying in business, how they're getting this many body parts, because there's not that many. Not that many employees and people going through from the sounds of it. So it left me wondering, but not enough to the point that it made me angry.
Yeah,
So
like-
I'll still recommend it.
Yeah. Like maybe Big Gordo, like his true form, like the flesh form that they use to like grind up the meat. Maybe he has like thousands of tongues. Like he's an eldritch
possibly.
horror. So he's like just this horrible Shogothian monster. With too many tongues and too many eyes and too many huevos. Okay, anyway, yeah, sorry, grossing myself out again. I commend the story for being viscerally horrific. In such a mundane way, too.
Yeah.
So, is that basically a roundhouse recommendation to the face? Like all
Sounds
three
like
of us?
it, yeah.
All three of us? Nice. Yeah, so yeah, this like on its own, this is great. There's just some issues to be worked out, I think, between it and 3894, which that's I think that was just a possibly like just a typo or like a mistake on the back end. So
Yep.
But yeah, no, if you want to read a horrific, like viscerally horrific, but really cool, creepy idea for a diner, that goes kind of where you expect it to go, but also takes it even further. Yeah, this is definitely a recommendation. So, and that has been this week's episode. If you like what you heard, or if you didn't, leave us a comment in the comment section below where this gets posted, whether it be on Podbean, Facebook, YouTube, Tumblr. We're all on Twitter. You can talk to us there. Mikey is at the E stands for evil. The Gamer in Yellow is at the Gamer in Yellow, but without that W at the end because his name is very long.
Yeah.
And I'm at Review Cultist. You can also talk to us or send us emails at aldenterigamortis@gmail.com. That's ALDENTERIGAMORTIS@gmail.com. Where you can also leave us other suggestions for creepypastas, SCPs, cryptids, spooky things that you'd think that we should discuss and talk about for creepypasta ideas or even like horror scenario ideas. We'll read them, discuss them, and post it on our show. If you'd like to help support the show financially, you can go to Patreon, look up Al Dente Rigor Mortis, and select the backer tier. Hang on. Go to Al Dente Rigor Mortis on Patreon and select the backer tier you'd like to support us at. We have $2 and $5 tier with special episodes, early access, extra content. To our patrons that are helping support the show, thank you immensely. You're helping keep those hosting bills at bay, and we very much appreciate that. And to our listeners and the author of this story, CadaverCommander, thank you, because without your listenership, it would be like screaming into the void. And without your authorship, I wouldn't want to puke after reading this story while eating dinner.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have had a visceral reaction to reading a creepypasta or an SCP right after
That
eating
doesn't
dinner.
happen very often.
No, I was like, again, it's gross. It's I cannot understate how gross it was to read, but it was like a good kind of reaction as well because it was like, yeah, that's what I expect from a horrific, creepy story or like a creepy document like an SCP. Is it supposed to inspire a horrific reaction? And congrats.
It's weird being creeped out by a creepy story.
Exactly. And visceral horror is one of several different types of horror. So it has been achieved. So thank you. Until next time, I have been your host, Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey. The E stands for evil.
And I'm the Gamer in Yellow.
And this has been Al Dente Rigor Mortis. Sleep well.